Well, prosecutors in the Alex Murdaugh murder trial have won the right to use important evidence against the disgraced lawyer who stands accused of killing his wife and son. The judge ruled that the jury will be allowed to hear evidence that Murdaugh committed financial crimes. Allegedly, prosecutors claim those alleged actions point to a motive. Murdaugh denies killing anyone. Nikki Battiste is in Walterboro, South Carolina. It's about 50 miles west of Charleston. Nikki, good morning.
Emery, good morning. 2 weeks after this trial began, the judge's ruling marks a potential breakthrough for the prosecution. They say Alex Murdaugh was stealing money from his law firm and clients and claim he killed his wife and son to gain sympathy before the alleged fraud came to light.
This evidence of other crimes is admissible.
Prosecutors argue a driving factor behind Alex Murdaugh's alleged actions. On Monday, Judge Clifton Newman ruled testimony about it was fair game.
This evidence furnishes a part of the context of the alleged crime. It's necessary to the full presentation of the case.
Prosecutors say Murdaugh's alleged motive stemmed in part from a 2019 incident involving his son Paul, who was charged with driving under the influence after a boat he was allegedly operating crashed, leading to the death of 19-year-old Mallory Beach. A hearing in the boat crash civil case, which prosecutors claim would have included financial records revealing years of fraud, had been set for 3 days after Alex Murdaugh's wife and son were killed. Mark Tinsley is a lawyer for the Beach family. He testified that if Murdaugh had been a grieving victim in his family's murders,
nobody would have brought a verdict back against Alec. I would have ended the case against Alec.
In police footage from the night of the murders, Murdaugh told investigators about his son's legal woes and what he called negative publicity surrounding the boat crash.
He's been punched and hit and just attacked a lot. So, but nothing like this.
Now the jury in Murdaugh's murder trial will hear testimony from witnesses about millions of dollars he allegedly stole from a variety of victims, including clients and his housekeeper's family. She died in an accident on Murdaugh's property in 2018. In another pivotal moment Monday, a caregiver for Murdaugh's ill mother took the stand and appeared to cast doubt on Murdaugh's alibi regarding the length of time he visited his mother the night of the murders. She said Murdaugh had spoken to her days later, explicitly telling her he'd been at his mother's for 30 to 40 minutes.
How long did he stay there?
20 minutes, about 20 minutes.
That witness, whose name is Shelley Smith, said she was so bothered by her conversation with Murdaugh that she called her brother, a police officer, to ask what she should do. Up next, we expect to hear from a law enforcement expert today who will testify about evidence of gunshot residue the night of the murders. Anne-Marie?
So, Nikki, this judge's decision to accept this evidence is fascinating to me because the evidence is really just a series of allegations. He's being investigated for these alleged crimes, but he hasn't been convicted. But the judge is allowing it. Can you talk a little bit more about the judge's reasoning? What did the judge say as to why they thought this was pertinent evidence?
We heard from quite a few witnesses about a variety of alleged financial crimes against Alex Murdaugh. And one I want to talk about, which we touched on in the piece, is that in 2018, a maid that took care of the Murdaugh's house and children really for about 20 years had an alleged slip and fall accident and died. And what's interesting is at her funeral, Alex Murdaugh allegedly said to her sons, "Sue me for the accident," which they did, and they won about a $4 million settlement, but never saw a penny of that money. Alex Murdaugh took it. That's one example. And then we're looking on the day of the murders of Alex's wife and son, he was questioned at his law firm about missing money. So I think that there was just such an overwhelming number of testimony from a variety of witnesses about a variety of evidence that the judge ultimately decided it was critical, and it was the prosecution saying this was the motive. Anne-Marie?
This case has so many twists and turns. So we heard testimony yesterday from Alex Murdaugh's mother's caregiver, who he visited the night of the murders. What new light on his alibi did she share?
So Alex Murdaugh's alibi was that he was visiting his mother, and this caregiver, Shelley Smith, was there the night of the murders, and that she has Alzheimer's. He went to see her, and then he came back, went out to the dog kennels, and he found his wife and son dead. Shelley Smith yesterday said that night Alex Murdaugh did come to visit his mother for about 20 minutes. A few days after the murders, she said Alex Murdaugh came to her and said, "Look, I was here for 30 to 40 minutes, telling her you basically better say that's how long I was here," because apparently he was worried about an alibi. What's also interesting, she said on the stand that after that, he knew that Shelley was getting married and he offered to help with her wedding financially. Emery?
Interesting. So you said a law enforcement expert is going to be taking the stand. What more could we learn from that person?
So, as always in different murder cases, a lot of evidence was collected the night of the murders. There was a lot of discussion about a blue raincoat that was found within that week at Alex's mother's house. They tested seatbelts. They tested Alex's clothing. So we expect to hear potentially about evidence of gunshot residue that may or may not have been found on some of those items, which of course will be critical because we know that Alex's wife and son, Maggie Murdaugh and Paul Murdaugh, were both shot with firearms. Emery?
All right, Nikki, thank you very much.